Good evening, everyone. We are getting close to Pesach, and it's very, very sad days for all of us on a huge tragedy that we had in the Flatbush community. I don't believe that there's one person who didn't cry because of what happened. And everybody wants to know why, and already, you know, there's probably millions of comments over the internet over it. And, you know, of course, when you come to analyze such a thing, you have to be extra sensitive, not to hurt anyone's feeling. But at the same time, you have to stick to the truth. The truth is very crucial. If you change from the truth, then people may like what you say, but it's not the truth. It's not what Hashem wants you to hear. As you know, for 20 years I spoke so many times about this issue, about suffering, about tragedy. We have to start with the fact that a tragedy like that is not just another tragedy. Every little kid that dies is a huge tragedy. You don't need more than one to already have a horrible tragedy. The fact that 7 from one family get burned is very, very rare. Something like this to happen. The fact that it happens on Shabbat, it makes it even more rare. And the fact that it happens from the, supposedly, if they say the truth, the fire department. You never know if they always tell you the truth. Sometimes, Chas v'Shalom could be an act of terrorism. You don't know. Could be some anti-Semite lit the place on fire. You know, you've never know no way to know. Sometimes it's worth for the authorities to say that it's an accident, or then to prevent a wave of pressure that something happened. We don't know. Maybe yes, maybe not. Assuming what they say is the truth. So now it's the third thing that makes it more rare, that it happens from the plata of Shabbat. People are coming to keep Shabbat. They try to do what Hashem said. And in the end, they'll get burned as results of something like this. This is something that, lichora, supposedly, breaks all the rules. Why? Because we have a rule, shomer mitzvah lo yeda davar ra. There's all kinds of rules. Shluchei mitzvah enam nizokim. Someone is busy with mitzvah, have extra protection. All the rules are correct, but there's always an exception to the rule. And I've been screaming about it for months and months and months, and it seems to me that nobody wants to hear. Not only nobody wants to hear, people get angry, they begin to fight you. Instead of helping you to spread the message, they don't want to hear. They either don't come to hear, or they fight you, one of the two. One thing, they don't come to hear, they want to take risk on their own life, fine. But they also try to block your mouth for saying the truth. Why? It's not pleasant. I've been saying for months that the situations in our community are below horrible, below, spiritually. Very, very bad. Very, very bad, no matter how you look at that. And I know there's always going to be these people who say, look at the positive, there's so much chesed and so many this and so much of that. I know, we see the good. We're not here to talk about the good now. We have to do cheshbon nefesh now. There's not one Jew in the world that is dismissed from doing cheshbon nefesh for such a tragedy. Not even one. Even a Jew in Japan supposedly has nothing to do with the community here. All the Jews are pieces from one big picture with many pieces in a puzzle. One piece is missing all the way on the top right. It makes every other piece over there lose its value. You understand? Every act of every Jew in the world affects the entire Jewish nation. Of course, it's affect himself the most. but it affects everybody, every one of us. When the things that are happening in different communities in the world today, unfortunately, I'm afraid to even open my mouth, but I know that we are heading to very bad times. And I know, it's recorded. You're going to go back and see. It's not just another tragedy. It's a very, very strong message from Shamayim. There are rules, and there are an exception to the rule. And sometimes the exception to the rule, like I told you, it's very, very rare exception. Some exception to the rules, it comes every once and then, It happens a lot. Still 5%. It's an exception to the rule, but it still repeats. Something like that, you can't recall such thing. Such tragedy, it's not something that we can just sit and cry and move on with our life. No, no, no. Something must be done. You have to know, just to give you a little bit update of what's going on. I mean, we're talking now Flatbush, but it's not only Flatbush. It's basically every place there's a Jewish community here in America. I travel a lot in the world. I see more or less what happens in other communities. It's not that much better. It's not that much better. But here, there's very, very few serious problems. There's few very serious problems. What are they? One is we have a very big drop in the modesty of our communities. Very, very deep drop. Massive drop in the way people get dressed, in the way they talk, in the text messages, in pictures, in Facebook things, in all kinds of things that are happening. There's not a day that I don't hear about something that I cannot believe that happens in an Orthodox community. There's a massive epidemic of thousands of Jewish kids addicted to heroin. Almost nothing is getting done about it. They treat 1% of them. The rest, some of them died. Some of them, their life is over. They'll never be able to establish a home. Not to talk about keep religion or Torah. That's not even a possibility when you're addicted. Thousands of children are going in and out of rehabs. These rehabs cost $30,000, $40,000 or more $1,000 a month. The things that I hear, what happens in rehab from some of these kids that have been there, is not encouraging. The community don't have the answer to this problem. Neither the rabbis, some of the organizations who try to do something about it, they don't have the answer for that. I always say, in order for us to solve the problem, we have to put the finger on the root of the problem, not on the symptom. Remember this. We're treating the symptoms. It will not get us anywhere. It's just a relief here and there. You get a relief. You take 2 Advil, it takes away the headache and the fever, but it doesn't fix the problem. As soon as the medicine will go off, the pain comes back, the fever comes back, and the problem gets worse. It doesn't become any better. We have to find the root of the infection. There's an infection in the communities. There is a divorce epidemic. There is thousands of boys, mainly girls though, that are not getting married, 26, 7, 9, 30 something. In a frum community, something unheard of. I mean, everybody used to get married almost in a very young age. There's a serious problem. There's thousands of good girls that can't get married. I see some of the frum guys from yeshiva, the struggle that they had to go through to find one girl that is shomer negia, but real shomer negia. Many writes in the resume that they're shomer negia. But when you begin to know them after 2, 3 times, I don't even want to say what the things that they do and they confess about. So there's serious problems in our community, and Hashem is not going to let it go. When He sends us such a tragedy, somebody today argued with me for an hour back and forth. Their mind is still in the autistic lectures that I made. Still people bothering me about this nonsense. They don't understand even what I say. They think they understand, but they don't. In the end, that person seems to be 90% convinced. Because I said there's two alternatives. One is what I say, and the other one is 1,000,000 times worse. What does it mean? Let me explain. That applies to this tragedy as well. When I speak about, in the lectures that I made over the years, few times I spoke, at least 10, 20 times I can say, about the autistic children or Down syndrome that don't have a free choice. They have brain damage. They're not regular kids. And I spoke about the epidemic that, you know, they found a way to communicate with them through computer about 20 years ago. And then they started to communicate with some autistic kids in Israel and found out that they're very big special souls. I even say that I went to some of them a few times in the past and communicated with them. And the things that they told me, if you know some of my lectures, I actually dedicated to that. I said so many times that these are special souls, that they came to this world from their sins, from their previous life, but their situation is much better than us, because we also came from our actions from previous life, good and bad. That's why Hashem gives us another opportunity with a free choice to start again and to achieve better achievements. They, however, since they don't have a free choice, you see right away that they came here to live X amount of time, receive the suffering, and finished. When I spoke to the autistic kid, he told me exactly the words of our Chachamim. What is the word? The word was, he told me, he said to me, I have 1,000 tortures in a minute. And I say to him, I feel very bad for you. And he said to me, don't feel bad for me. Feel bad for yourself and for other people. I say, why? He said, because you have a lot more than me to correct. I almost finished my tikkun. So we see here that they are already 98 or 97 or 99% corrected already. What do they have to do? Normally, when a person comes to the world with a birth defect or limitation, it's an indication of what sins he has to correct. And since they are deaf and mute, I said many times, it's no coincidence. It has to do with sins that a person makes with his mouth and his ears. And when I spoke to this autistic kid, the one in Borough Park once and the one in Jerusalem, two of them, two different ones, they both confirmed to me that they came to the world with this situation because of Averot of Lashon Hara. To add on top of it, I had a video that I posted already a few times on my Facebook page showing about this autistic kid in Israel from a secular family, that their family is communicating with him, and he confirmed clearly that the reason he's like that is because of sins he made with his mouth. Gossip, Lashon Hara, ruining people's life with your mouth and your ears. You can't get away with that. You have to pay for it. You don't pay for it right now, you'll have to pay for it in the next time. A person must pay for it. However, the good news for them is, like I said, they're almost already one step in heaven. Another year, another 5 years, another 10 years, they finish their life, they go, the soul comes out of the body, they're done. They don't have to come back here, they don't have to go through what we're going through, they finished. So I said to that person today, she said, maybe even though it's the truth, better not to say it, because people cannot handle the truth, especially the parents of these children. So I said, when you don't say this to the people that they pay for what they did in their previous life, the other alternative is that they're blaming Hashem. They say that Hashem is cruel and is no justice, that he tortured innocent children and he gives them all this suffering, which before they even made one sin in their life. So where is the justice? Why a kid, 2 years old, 5 years old, 12 years old, doesn't matter. Why a kid that didn't have a chance to even make any crime in his life is already going through so much suffering? Why there are kids with cancer? Why there are kids with all kinds of other sicknesses? Why kids are dying? Where is the justice? Saying there's not speaking about reincarnation and explaining what the Kabbalah speaks about and all the big Chachamim were speaking about throughout the generations leads us to a million times worse alternative, that people will become kofrim be'Hashem. People have grouch against Hashem. They have pain against Hashem. They say that it's coincidence. It's no justice. That's a birth defect. That's something went wrong in nature. Bad luck. All kinds of expressions like this. Is this the nation we want to raise? That people would say, do whatever you want, anyway there's no justice. And that leads me to this tragedy that just happened. How many thousands of evil people already took advantage on it to write in the internet, where is God? There is no God. Leave, do whatever you want. Don't let religious people affect you. You can see in your own eyes, if there was a God, he would not burn children that are sleeping in the middle of Shabbat, keeping Shabbat. You know, all kinds of expressions like this. Why people speak like that? Because we did not clarify how the world works good enough. If everybody in the world would know about the concept of reincarnations, and everybody knows that what you see, little children suffer and little children die, or all kinds of tragedies like that, you would know that little children is no little children, is regular adults in a small body. This is people who were here a few years ago. They died in an older age, 70, 80, 90, whatever the age was, and Hashem sends them back in a new body. They have to correct something specific or many things, and then sometimes a part of that correction is that they have to die young. Now, they don't die young because of this life. They didn't do anything wrong in this life, these children. And even if they did, up to bar mitzvah, they dismiss. It's only for what they did in a previous life. Now, it doesn't mean that in this life they're wicked. No. Maybe in this life they're fantastic. They learn Torah, they go to yeshiva, they keep Shabbat, everything is fine. That's exactly the correction. This is exactly the correction. That Hashem took a person that made mistakes in his previous life, call it sins, call it mistakes, same idea. He did things that he was not supposed to do. Almost like everybody in the world does things that he's not supposed to do. So it doesn't make those people worse than us, just because they are paying right now and we will have to pay later for what we did wrong. It doesn't make them worse than us. Maybe we are worse than them. There's no way to know, only Hashem knows. So because of that, the people come to the wrong conclusion. Plus, there is already Yetzer Hara, that people looking for excuses to leave religion and to do whatever they want. And therefore, unfortunately, tragedies like that is a huge setback to the kiruv work in the world. It's true. No matter how many times you're going to explain it, people think with their heart, not with their head. If all people would be able to make their head overcome the heart, the job would be a lot easier. You had to give one speech and that's it. Everyone will get the point. But I'm sure you're sitting here and you're moving your heads like that and everyone agree with what I say. And tomorrow morning you'll have the same questions again. Why? Because the heart is the heart and it's not going anywhere. Same concept when it comes to the Holocaust. When you speak to people that are from the Holocaust or their children, or you speak to their children and they have still the sadness and the pain of their parents, how much they suffered. And you try to explain to them in a rational way according to the Torah, and you explain to them the whole concept of reincarnations and all that, it still doesn't help. It may relax them a little bit for a minute or two, an hour or two. The next day they still have this sadness and pain, because one of the things in this world that it's rare to find people that their head is going over their emotions. You understand? I give you an example what I mean. There's a woman who sent me an email from Israel today. I don't even remember her name. I get so many emails from there every day. And the email was that she's separated from her husband already for 2 or 3 months. He's out of the house. He moved back to his family, whatever. And he wants to, He's agreeing to come back to be with her in one condition, that she will sign and agree to get divorced before. First, he wants her to commit to the get, go sign the papers, finish with the divorce, and he promised her as results to come live with her after they'll be divorced, which means להוסיף חטא על פשע. Not only is a criminal as it is with the way she described him, he wants to make the crime double. You understand? To get divorced and to move back to live with a woman that he lived for a few years with her, that now they're not permitted to live together. You understand? When they are permitted to live together, he ran away. Now he wants to make it that they are divorced, and now he's going to move back in. For me, it's clear that he has no intention to move back in. It's all a trick to take advantage on her that she acts with her heart. Believe it or not, she was ready to go sign the papers until Hashem gave her an idea to send me an email that I will save her from that trap. Why? What normal woman would go and sign papers with no rights, not receiving her rights, not receiving her money, no arrangement for paying child support, to split the apartment, whatever the case is, first to go and sign all the documents, hoping that this Rasha will have mercy on her. Why? The heart. The head is dead. When it comes to crisis, that's how it is. By women, it's needless to say, but it's also by men. Many men act with their heart, not with their head. One of the great things about the Torah, that if you learn Torah many, many years, it helps you to overcome your emotions and feelings. To eliminate the feelings completely is also not good. Everything in life has its right measurement. But to act only based on feelings, you always come to the wrong conclusion. So with all the pain, and we have a tremendous pain, I mean, I was thinking to myself for the last 48 hours, if a person was asked, please write on a piece of paper what tragedy you don't want in your life, from all the tragedies in the world, for all these tragedies in the world, which tragedy you asking never to get? The worst in your mind. This would be the one. Yeah. That's the first thing everyone would sign. There are people who are afraid very much to lose their money, but for sure they would sign, take away all my money, don't touch a hair of one of my children, not to talk about 7. From all the tragedies possible, even you come to a parent and you tell them, would you sacrifice your life to save your 7 children? I'm sure that the answer will be yes, by almost everybody. Almost everybody. So this is like I said before, that pain is beyond words. It's really, there's no words to even try to comfort this horrible situation and the suffering of the community. But we also know at the same time we have to overcome our feelings and to know when Hashem does something, He sends a message. And if Hashem went completely to the extreme side and sent us such a tragedy, it means that all of us has to wake up. It's time to make tshuva. It's very, very possible that we are close to the end. The cancer of the violence and the terrorism is spreading in every city in the world, faster than you can imagine. There's big threats in the world between ISIS and Ebola and Obama and all the other things in the world. So many fears above the Jewish nation. So many different scary things. Now maybe before we realize, we'll hear the shofar of Mashiach, and then this is what we say in a tefillah, Az yimale schok pinu. Then we're going to start laughing like crazy, laughing and laughing and laughing. And we'll say, why are you laughing so much? It's one thing to be happy and to say, wow, Baruch Hashem, Mashiach is here, but why are you going to laugh like crazy? Why? Because we will laugh at ourselves for all the misunderstandings that we had when it comes to Hashem. All this crying, all these broken hearts, all this screaming, all these things was really for nothing. Now it's going to be resurrection of the dead. All these cute boys coming back to life, come and hug us and say, hey, we wish you can send you a message not to worry so much. It was only for 2-3 months. Then we will go crazy if we'll have the merit to survive when Mashiach comes, because not everyone survives. One thing I promise you, that's no question here in the Torah, that these children are already in heaven. Right? The Torah is not lying. The Torah told you children like this, when they die before bar mitzvah, I believe about 6 out of the 7 were before bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah. And even the one that was a little bit older, by a year or two, how many sins he had a chance to do in this age from a Haredi family. So they are clean children, and they went to heaven. They don't suffer right now. We are suffering. It was meant for us to wake up. You understand? Because if Hashem comes to each one of us and say, hey, Moshe, hey, Yitzchak, hey, Sarah, I give you a one-time opportunity. Right now, I take you to heaven. No goodbye to the family, no moving money around, no riding a wheel, nothing. Right now, you coming to heaven, yes or no? How many people would say no? Does anything justify a delay when Hashem comes and say, here, one-time opportunity, take it or leave it?
We'll do more mitzvahs.
Huh?
We'll do more mitzvahs. More mitzvahs you want to do.
Fine, but if Hashem already takes you to heaven, what do you need more mitzvot? You're done. Huh? Yeah, but when Hashem told him Rav Lach, he let go. When Hashem told him, you're good, you're set, don't worry, you have plenty of mitzvot. Because Moshe wanted the mitzvot of Eretz Israel. Of course, everyone wants to live long life that they can do a lot of mitzvot. But when a child lives in a young age, he doesn't need those mitzvot. It's obviously that he had something to correct, to come to a short life term, to correct something and finish. How do you know what was the correction? Maybe these children did tshuva in their previous life before they passed away, and Hashem wanted them to have a taste of yeshiva. He sent them to this world for a few more years. They learn yeshiva, they learn a little bit Gemara, that was their tikkun. How do you know? There's so many millions of possibilities here. It could be a sacrifice. That was my next step. I didn't get to it yet. First, we are now talking, there's so many, according to the Torah, there's so many happy possibilities. It's painful no matter what, because that's the way the nature is. We suffer when someone dies. We suffer. That's it. Even if we know our child go to heaven, we still cry. Why? That's the way the world is. Not only that, the Torah even say to mourn on the tzaddikim even more. So to mourn, why do I have to mourn on the tzaddikim? If I know they went to heaven, I should make a party. The answer, no, still mourn. That's a rule, you see. Why? Hashem knows the psychology of the people. These mournings clear a lot of the pain from your system. If you're not going to let it go, then a person later on can collapse. Everything Hashem took into consideration. The next thing is, as he said right here now, unfortunately, there is this concept. I shouldn't say unfortunately, because when Hashem does something, it's always fortunately, even though we don't see it yet. But from our point of view, unfortunately, the way it's been done is there is a sentence, a verse in Shir HaShirim. It says, Dodi yarad legano lilkot shoshanim. Dodi is Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, went down to his garden, which means this world, to pick some roses. Who are these roses? The tzaddikim. And I explained in the past already that the people are not measured equally. You have 2 Jews, right? They both children of Hashem. Moshe and Moshe, 2 Moshes. One is worth 100 times more than the other when it comes to mitzvot on a scale. They're both children of Hashem, and he loves both of them. A father loves his children. Even if one is more righteous than the other, still love the other as well. Because that's a natural feeling. You have children, you love them. However, God forbid, if a person had to point which one is more valuable in the world, he would point on his righteous one, the one who sits and learns and do chesed and do all kinds of wonderful things, when the other one does nothing. This is the way Hashem is also. Not everyone is equal. Same thing, not all sins are equal. Same thing, not all mitzvot are equal. one mitzvah can be equal like 1,000 others, or one sin can be equal like 1,000 different sin. Same thing, people. One person sometimes can be equal to 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 people. You understand? When you take a person like Chacham Ovadia or Rav Eliashiv, or all these few big tzaddikim that we lost in the last few years, when it comes to their holiness and how much they did in their life and how much devotion they had and how much Torah they learned and how much they saved people and helped people and they affected the world so much, one of them did more than 1,000 or 10,000 others. The way it works, every day the Satan comes in court of heaven. The Satan, in case you didn't know, is the prosecutor. Just like the court in Manhattan, just like the court in Israel, just like the court in every other country. You have a judge, you have a defense lawyer that defend you, you have prosecutor, and you have all the rest, defendants, witnesses. Exactly, Hashem made the court over here exactly like it's in Shamayim, in heaven. And every day the prosecutor comes with his list, just like the court, and they announce names. And he comes and he say, Mr. X, son of Y. And they review yourself, what you did. They say, what reason this person has to live? And why this person is still alive? And why this person is still alive if every hour he make a sin from the Torah that is execution? Where is the truth of the Torah, Mr. Dear God? The Satan comes, that's his job, he's a prosecutor. He say, look at this guy, look at this guy, look at this guy, look at this guy, look at all these naked people on the beach, look at all these people with their stealing, look at all these mechalelei Shabbat, look at all these things that they make all kinds of horrible sins. If the world will know their sins, nobody would want to stand next to them. They're hiding it from the world, but you know the truth. Where is the justice? And Hashem has to give an answer. Of course, it's the defense, the malach, the angel. It's called sanegor. There's categor and sanegor. Categor means prosecutor, and sanegor means defense, sanegoria. So the sanegor, the angel, has to bring a reason why you deserve to stay alive. What do you think? You take it for granted? People just live like that? So he has to give a reason. Sometimes there's no reason. Sometimes there's nothing. You can't find anything. So when they have chas v'shalom, a situation that they stuck in Beit Din Shel Ma'ala, has to be a massive tragedy. 1,000 dead, 2,000, 10,000 dead. The solution for now, for the time being, is that Hashem pick up one rose instead of 1,000 thorns. And that rose, usually in this generation, is the children, because when we review the way we are in the world, it's very difficult to find roses, very difficult. But the children are pure roses. Like I said, they're clean. They don't have sins from this life. So the Satan cannot come and say, what about this kid? There's nothing he can say against him. What can he say against him? He's sitting in Talmud Torah, he's learning Gemara with a smile on his face, with his peot, with his tzitzit. This kid can be equal like 1,000 of us. And instead of massive tragedies, Hashem take one kid, 2 kids, 5 kids. There are other kids that die. Here it's in one shot. That's why we cannot digest it. But we always hear a kid over there, a kid got killed by a car, a kid fell here, a kid choked. Things like this happens all the time. There are many. There's tens of children from Talmudei Torah every year that die. It's not 1 or 2 or 5 or 10. There's many of them. Just from what I hear alone, we're talking more than 50 a year. Between Israel and America and London and the rest of the places. Today, with the world of communication, you hear about every tragedy. Back in the days, every tragedy was belonged to his place. But today, everybody speaks about it. All over the televisions here and the goyim here. The mayor of New York was crying when he went to that house. He was crying. He was holding his head like this and crying. The head of the fire group that was there was crying. When he gave his message, he couldn't hold his tears. The goy. There's nothing to do, Jew, not Jew. It's something for humanity. Something like this. Hashem sends such a thing, believe me, it's the last thing he wants to do. But if it will not be that, it could be 10,000 deaths. And I'm telling you today, and it's recorded, and don't say in a year from now I didn't say, I'm not a prophet, never intended to be one. I'm the one who screamed there's no prophets already for 2,000 years since the destruction of the Second Temple. Everyone who pretends he knows the future and is a prophet is a liar. Doesn't know the future. Nobody knows the future. When Hashem wanted someone to know the future, he chose an angel, and a prophet, and the prophet gave the message. Other than that, Hashem doesn't want people to know the future because they will cancel the free choice. We're not supposed to know the future. However, I'm not coming to speak as someone who knows the future. I'm just coming to speak as someone rational. It's very simple to put one and one together. They published yesterday an article in Israel. Everybody knows that the next war with Hezbollah will be a whole different kind of war. Expecting thousands of deaths. They have missiles go all the way to Eilat. They upgraded themselves, but at least 10 times better than what they used to be. They're much more experienced now fighting with Syria against the rebels. If we're going to have to go through another battle with them, it can happen any moment because they're big shots. They feel that they own the world. The way our army is, we don't have that much of a chance. Let's be honest. I mean, I wish I had to say this, the opposite. Our army cannot compete with these guerrillas, cannot. Plus, even if our army was good as it was 30, 40 years ago, a good army cannot handle missiles. There's no way. They put the missile under the ground, they come for a minute, they shoot it, then go right back under the ground. A few stairs, they go to the bunker. By the time the missile was shot, how quick the plane can come there? There's no way. So there's nothing you can do against missiles, nothing you can do. And I said, it looks to me clear that Hashem is postponing more and more and more, as much as possible. He's postponing as much as possible. And He's giving us tragedies, even though this tragedy is huge, compared to the other ones we had in the last few months. It's getting worse. We see that it's getting worse. But it's still not what it can be. It can be a lot worse if we're not going to start waking up. And I'm talking now to the religious people who listens to this lecture. The secular people, it's a whole different story now. I'm talking to the religious people. It's about time to start getting serious, to stop with the internet, to stop with the movies. It cannot be that every shidduch resume for every one of my students, eventually it ends that the girl watching movies. It cannot be. It cannot be that a girl that finally decided to put a wig, 9 out of 10 will put a wig all the way to the floor almost, with millions of different colors. It's already questionable if it's allowed or not. According to some poskim, include Chacham Ovadia and others, and Rav Wosner and few other important ones, it's not allowed at all, which means a very big sin to have it, according to them. You want to take the risk and go to Shamayim and find out what they're going to rule, it's your problem. But even if you take one side between two poskim, Chacham Aleph and Chacham Bet, and you take the size of Chacham Bet that allow the wig, you're not going to have what to hold to, because Chacham Bet never in his wildest dream allowed the wig you just bought. So you are bold. There's nobody to protect you. You come there, you say, I know, Rav Ovadia say it's not allowed. I know, but Rabbi X say it's allowed, and Rabbi Y say it's allowed, and my Rabbi in the shul say it's allowed. What do you think they're going to do? Right away, they subpoena your rabbis to the court of heaven. You allowed her such a wig? It's going to be shaking. Excuse my language. You know what it's going to be. It's going to become pale. I say, never in history I allowed such a wig. They're going to have a problem why they never say anything for 20 years when they saw all this fancy schmancy show-off in their shuls and they did nothing about it. That's besides the point. But to allow it in an official book of halacha, I never saw one. Show me. Show me one. I'm in the business. You know, I read a lot. People send me all kinds of things. They try to argue. if there would be one existed proof that somebody allowed these fancy schmancy long wigs, like everywhere you go, and again, it's not only in Flatbush, it's in Borough Park, it's in Monsey already, it's everywhere, everywhere, in Bnei Brak. So if you're already honest, if you chose one opinion in halacha, okay, you chose the one that is more lenient. But why to make it 100 times more lenient than that opinion? Stick to that opinion original. They say short wigs, short means short. Not all the way, I don't know, 2 feet or 3 feet long. That was never allowed.
How short am I?
Has to be short, not below the shoulders, right here, to the end of the neck, where the neck begins maximum. The idea is not to attract attention on the street. That's not the idea. You're embarrassed. You go to some women say, listen, I work in a hospital, I work in a court, I work in a lawyer's office, I work with all kinds of fancy schmancy people. I cannot come with my snood. It makes me lose all my confidence. They give all these excuses. So if they're going to come with a short wig, nobody will say anything. Nobody even know it's a wig. It looks like a hair. So what excuse they have after that? Why did it have to be so long and wild? Why the heels have to be all the way here? Why all the skirts almost of all the girls is above the knees? Why? It's against the halacha. It's just like wearing pants. If it's against the halacha, it's fail. Nobody remember if you fail 40 or 50 or 20. Fail, it's fail. Fail means X, not V. Finished. What are you going to say about my skirt was 2 inches longer than my friend? You fail and she fail, and both of you will not make it to where you're supposed to. You understand? And if all these tragedies don't wake us up, we might as well retire. What do we need Kiruv lectures for? What for? For 1 out of 1,000 that agree to change? What do we need? What do we need this for? You say and you say and you say and you say, and everyone goes back with their nonsense. And you know what's the worst? The worst is the arrogance of the leaders of the community. It kills me. When I see this corruption, when I see what's going on, I see the politics, when I see the hypocrisy, when I see the lack of modesty, when I see the show-off, it kills me. In the end, they come to give marks to those who try to save souls. They are the one who nominate themselves to be the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, each one of them. He approved this speaker, doesn't approve that speaker. These people who, I don't want to say too much more than what I said already. But believe me, I have a lot more to say about this kind of people. And not from what I hear from the people of their community, to rip your clothes and fall on the floor and cry for ear. And what do you think? When they hear this speech tomorrow, do you think they're going to do tshuva? No, they're going to go and fight against more. Why? To cover for the crimes. But the Tanakh is full of this kind of things. Full. What do you think? It started today? Corruption started today? Do you know, just to give you an idea what it means, corruption, there's one of the biggest rabbis in the world. Very big rabbi. His name Rabbi Nissim Karelitz. He's the head of the Beit Din in Bnei Brak. If there are 5 in the world, he's definitely among the top 5, according to all opinions. Very big chacham. Also in his 90s, some more or less in the level of Rav Chaim Kanievsky. We're not talking a beginner or someone who has just a shul or something. We're talking someone very big chacham, big dayan, big judge, the head of a Beit Din. So if you go to get converted by him as a non-Jew, is it good or not good? The best, right? Do you know the Israeli Rabbanut doesn't accept his giurim? They tell you, I'm sorry, you have to convert again. Politics. People that cannot clean the dirt in his nails are saying to others, we don't accept that. Why? Because he's not a part of the whatever you want to call them. I don't know how to call this kind of people.
Well, what's the root of this problem?
Politics. You know politics? Politics means money, honor, kavod, ego, control, and personal gain. That's what it means, politics. That's what politics is. Once you get in it, you get dirty. You can't avoid it. Do you understand what's going on? That a person that is sitting as some kind of a askan, you know what? How do you say askan in English? An activist, someone who probably doesn't know how to read a book without mistakes. Simple Hebrew, he's going to write to this Goya that converted by the bed din of this big Chacham Tzaddik. They say, we're very sorry, we don't recognize this Giyur. Now when she's going to say, what do you mean? It's one of the biggest rabbis in the world. They already have their answers, don't worry. One of the things that I'm talking about here is, we just had an election in Israel. We had an election, right? There were 3 groups of religious people, 2 Sfaradi and 1 Ashkenazi. The Sfaradi were split to 2 groups. The Ashkenazim were split to 2 groups. It became 4 groups. One group fight with the other. Politics, in the end, each one of them claimed to represent religion. So each one of them basically supposed to have the same goal, no? That more and more religious people would sit in a government to fight against the evil, wicked people who are trying to destroy our Torah, right? Now, there's one thing, you fight with them before the election because you want your group to win more vote. But at the same time, if you have a little bit fear from God or love for God, you also have to pray to Hashem, I want to be the winner, as one thing, but I also want the other groups also to make it. Because if I'll win and they stay out, what did I gain by that? The Torah is going to get hurt, the religious people will get hurt, I will sit and get a nice salary in the Knesset, but nobody will be there to defend the Torah and the yeshivot. But, of course, it's not the case. The 2 Ashkenazim, one group say, we don't participate in the election, don't vote. So better that few seats in the Knesset that was supposed to go to religious people will go to the wicked people who fight to destroy the Torah, as long as we show you that we are not with you. So better that the secular wicked, they will win the chairs, and the religious people, because of the show-off, don't vote. We don't recognize this election. Don't vote. Okay, that's one problem. That's between the Ashkenazim. Now between the Sfaradim, there was 2 groups. Each one wants to get it into the Knesset. You need about 150,000 votes. Otherwise, you lose all your votes. All goes to the garbage. It's either you in or everything goes to the garbage. So one of the Sephardi groups, they were missing 5,000 votes. Some say 10,000 votes. Very little. They had 95 or 97% of what they needed. And in the end, they didn't make it. Now, what do you expect from the other group? To be upset. Chaval. If we could, we would give them the 10,000 from our voters. It won't change our status. Still, we are in already. If we could, we give it to you. Not only that, they make parties, they deserve it. The wicked, this and that. In the end, who lose? Hashem lose. The Torah lose. The Talmidei Chachamim lose. Instead of having 18, 19 Haredi people in a Knesset, now how many they're going to have? 12, 13. 6 seats in a Knesset, or 5. That was supposed to be people that care about Shabbat, about kosher, about real conversion, about things that the Torah care about. They're not going to be there. Why? Inside politics. So if we continue to kill each other from inside, please give me one reason why Iran should not win against us, or the Hezbollah, or the Hamas. I don't get it. Don't you see that the situation only got worse in the last 30 years? Every week it becomes worse. You don't see? When in the history, United States became our enemy in a public. United States officially now treating us like one of the stranger countries. They treat Iran better than us. You don't see what Hashem did here? He got this Hussein Obama here to become the enemy of the Jewish people, but he's clever. He's not a fool that screams and then everybody knows, oh, he has something against Israel. He makes it in a very diplomatic way. He finds excuses and he appended to this and to that. One of the things he say, we will have to reevaluate our entire relationship with Israel. if we should protect them in the United Nations or not. The Babylonian Tower, right here in Manhattan, all the anti-Semites sits over there and waiting for the day there will not be Jews left in the world. He joined them now. Until now, it was automatic. Half of America, it's pro-Israel. It was enough to protect Israel in the United Nations against sanctions. Israel is not a country that can hold sanctions. It's not Russia that export trillions of dollars of oil, or Iran. Israel have some high-tech, and they use their head, but they don't have treasures in the ground like other countries. Russia survived. Iran surviving already for a long time, plus they found a way around the sanction. If the world will make sanctions against Israel, I don't even want to tell you how it's going to be, what's going to be. If now the Israelis, most of them have no chance to ever buy an apartment in their entire lifetime. Do you know what happened if they announce in the United Nations that they make sanctions against Israel? Nobody is allowed to buy any imports from Israel. It will be illegal. You want to buy something in Costco that is from Israel, it's against the law. Nobody would order. They will not. Now the economy is horrible. A lot of people are unemployed. Basically, it will be 50% unemployment, at least. 1 out of 2 doesn't have a job. It's a very big, it's a threat to our existence. People don't understand what's going on here. Why Hashem does it? He gets us to the point that it will be no return. You either with me or you gone. That's it. That's what happened in Mitzrayim. 80% didn't come out, and they perished with the Egyptians in Makat Choshech, in darkness. One of the things the Chachamim say, when it comes before Mashiach come, only those who trust Hashem only, they will survive. Not people who trust America. In the meantime, we still have hope. We try. We don't want America to become officially our enemies, even though it looks a little bit too late already, because they already made some announcement. They can't reverse it now. One of the things they are worried about is, they always say to Israel, you want us to help you? You must be democracy. Democracy. Now, democracy means anti-Torah government, anti-Torah laws. The democracy doesn't mean that you have a chief rabbi, he will be the prime minister and rule Israel according to the Torah. No. It means the majority will dictate to the minority how to live. The problem is the majority are wicked. They don't want to keep Shabbat. They don't want to eat kosher. They don't want to keep Jewish holidays according to the halacha. They don't want to do what the Torah says. 70, 80%, this is the situation now. So the majority wins, and they want to destroy the Torah. They look at the Torah as a threat. Therefore, without admitting it, their number one enemy is Hashem. When you fight against the book of Hashem, who is your enemy? The writer of the book, right? If you burn a book in the middle of Manhattan, who do you hate? The papers? The ink? Who do you really hate? What message you send right now? If I could burn the person that wrote the book, I would do that, but I can't. I go to jail, so I burn his book. Freedom of speech, you tell me what books to burn. So if the majority of our nation don't want to accept the Torah, don't want to live according to the Torah, many of them don't have any idea what the Torah is. They look at the Torah as a threat for no reason, really. They don't even know what it is. Most of them never read the Torah once in their life. But that's besides the point. Right now, it's two groups. Groups that believe in the Torah and wants the Torah to succeed, and a group that wants to destroy the Torah and anything that has a connection to it. It used to be 3 groups. Anti-Torah, pro-Torah, and half and half. That used to be called Masorati, traditional. No more traditionals in Israel. There's no such thing anymore. All the middle traditional became either Baalei Tshuva or became completely Goyim. One of the two. That's it. There's no more. These traditionals are nothing left from them. All these traditional who used to go guys with girls with hand by hand on the street, short pants, going to the theater, you know, all these things that they used to do, making parties, boys and girls, they all became Chilonim. You don't have them anymore. They're disappearing one after the other. Some of them became Baruch Hashem Baalei Tshuva. They left the nonsense and went to yeshivot and became Haredi. And some of them became complete Chiloni. One example is the Minister of Defense in Israel. I remember 5-6 years ago, he had a yarmulke on his head. Now he's the head of the army, no more yarmulke, and speaking against religion. What's going on here? The other group with the small yarmulkes on their head, they joined Lapid, Haman, that all his declaration to begin with before the last election was, help me to destroy the Torah and the people that learn Torah. Who made him successful? A person with a little yarmulke on his head. You understand what's going on? So these people are secular. Don't let this little yarmulke fool you. It's nothing. So now here is what's going on. Netanyahu, in the last day of the election, now that I come to defend him, I'm not, I have my own criticism about some of the things he did, especially the last war. I don't think he ran it properly. But that's besides the point. I'm not coming to defend him. I'm coming to talk about the ideas from the Torah point of view. It's the name today, it's Netanyahu. Tomorrow will be a different name. I can care less about the names. Just for us to understand the situation according to the Torah and to Hashem and where we're heading. So he said in the last few hours of the election, they had statistic that all Arabs, Israeli citizens are running to vote. And that the Arabs will have 14 seats in the Knesset. So he said, please, those who did not go to vote, you have responsibility. Run and vote. The Arabs in Israel are voting. If you're going to sit home and don't care, later you will regret it. Something like that in different words. This is what he said. When Obama heard that, the democracy in Israel is in jeopardy. That's not what we agreed on. We worry about the democracy. They're very worried about the democracy. They're afraid Israel become a dictatorship. You know, even though the chance that something like this will happen is very, very small. Because you have to change the entire system. Something like this may take 20, 30 years minimum, and it's not something that can happen overnight. Definitely not in Obama's lifetime. But it's another way to get it against Israel. Very good. It serves its purpose. So, prejudice, a prime minister in Israel is calling against a minority. What he forgot to say, a main thing he forgot to say somehow, Mr. Barak. What did he forget to say? That half of the politicians that sits in this group called Israeli Arabs are actually Hamas activists, murderers, terrorists themselves. That's what he forgot to say. For some reason, he forget when it comes to Muslim terrorism, he doesn't see them as terrorists. He sees them as his brothers. I don't know what's going on with this guy. He forgot to say that the day before the election, all 14 of them took picture with the flag of Palestine, like the Hamas wave. In a war, Israeli members from the government, they're holding a flag of an enemy of their country. Why? Because they're loyal to the Hamas, but not to Israel. He forgot to say that one of them got caught selling secrets from inside meeting of the government to the Hezbollah in the last war and escaped to Dubai. And Israel still paying him a salary with their foolishness. That part he forgot to say. He forgot to say that every terrorist attack in Israel, these Israeli Arab citizens who cooperate with them and help them to get to the place with their Israeli ID. Otherwise, how are they going to go between the soldiers? The driver has to be a legal citizen. He forgot to say all these things. And besides, what Netanyahu really said? Netanyahu spoke against the left, liberal Jews. He's right, and they are left. Two people in politics fighting. It's perfectly legit according to the rules of democracy. The same thing Netanyahu spoke for months against the liberal lefty Jews and said that they will bring destruction to the state of Israel. He also doesn't trust them. He said, those gonna bring to our destruction. Why, when he speaks against the Jews like that, Obama didn't care? Only when he mentioned Arabs, all of a sudden his eyes came out. Do you understand what it means, Esav sonel Yaakov? It got to the point that forced Netanyahu to apologize to the Arabs today. He went and said, I'm sorry, I hurt your feelings. But it's funny, because the Arabs in Israel, the only Arabs in the whole world that have wonderful life, freedom, go to universities in Israel, get education, get money from the government, become judges in Israeli court, doctors, surgeons, free citizens. They all build themselves beautiful mansions on the mountains of the Galilee without permits. Nobody dares to talk to them. They live better than anybody lives in Switzerland. In any other country, they are humiliated. They're getting raped. They have no rights. There's a dictator like Saddam or anyone or Gaddafi or all the other ones who destroy them mentally and physically and financially, and nobody cares. Nobody cares that millions of them die by killing each other. The only place they have rights, nobody can do anything to them. No one can go into their home knowing they cooperate with the enemy. Nobody can go in because Israeli soldier will go to jail. Policemen cannot treat them differently because this is the laws in Israel. This is the cancer of democracy. When you have, again, don't get me wrong, not all of them are enemies. Some of them prefer that Israel would be in control. They know. They remember what their parents and grandparents used to have under Egyptian and Jordanian control. They remember. They're not fools. They see the freedom. And I myself, I have a family in the north of Israel that some of the Arabs work for them. And they say to me, you don't get it. We talk to them off the record. In front of the people, they scream against Israel. But when you speak to them one-on-one, they say, well, we couldn't ask for better life. We're happy that you stay here. What do you think? We want the Hamas to take over? They're going to start shooting us in the head here? We want the chaos. What do we want? We want Hamas, we want Hezbollah, we want ISIS, we want Iran. Who do we want here? Of course we want Israel. Well, how better our life can be? But this is hypocrisy. This is a lie. Everything is a lie. From head to toe, it's all a lie. Everything. And that's why the price we're going to pay. Right now we're having tragedies as we just had. But at one point the tragedies will be much bigger. And bigger and bigger. Why? The Gemara say, not me. The Gemara say before Mashiach come, it will be Chevlei Mashiach. Chevlei. You know what Chevlei Mashiach means? Cords. Cords of Messiah. Cords. What cords? The baby is connected to his mother with a cord. But before the baby comes out with the cord, the contractions begin. Every hour, every 40 minutes, every 30 minutes, every 20 minutes, every 10 minutes. And the woman go crazy, screaming. And then it's every 2 minutes, and then every minute. And then she sweat and scream and curse her husband and bang her head to the wall from the pain. And then they say push, and it doesn't come, and then go crazy. For an hour sometimes 3 hours. And then comes Mashiach. Came out, you hear the shofar, wah! And now the pain is gone, the happiness begins. That's how Mashiach will come. That's what the Gemara says. Chevlei Mashiach. Before it will happen, it will be more and more and more often and more and more and more and more every minute. And then it will happen. The question is, because it will happen now more and more and more and more and more, people here among our communities losing faith. They're falling off the wagon. But remember one thing. Once I told a story. I told a story about a king that said to his soldiers, there's 100 soldiers in a room. He said to him, I have to go to errands. I want all of you to stand here online and wait for me. I will show up soon. But I didn't say when soon. 1 hour, 2 hours. He didn't say. He said, when I come back, those who will still be standing, I'll give you a nice prize. And he left. After an hour, some soldiers say, this king likes to torture us. What's the point of standing? 5 of them sat down. 95 is standing. 3rd hour, another 5 sat down. 4th hour, another 20 sat down. 5th hour, another 20 sat down. 7th hour, already 15 people are standing. 8 hours later, 5 people standing. 10 hours later, 2 people standing. 10th hour, 1 soldier was standing. Everyone sat down already. And the king showed up. You're the only one who's standing, you come. You're getting saved. All of you, you'll pay the price for not respecting your king. Who's going to hit his heart the most? The one who said 10 hours ago? Or the one who just said 5 minutes ago?
5 minutes ago.
They'll kill themselves, these soldiers. The one who said 10 hours ago, you say, you know what? It's not so bad after all. Look at this fool. He stood for 9.5 hours and then sat down and the king showed up. At least after 20 minutes, I went and sat down. So I don't deserve a prize, fine. At least I didn't suffer. This is us. We are now in the last few minutes before the king will show up. Those who will fall off the wagon now, and again, I'm telling you, the tragedy is beyond words can describe. I don't think there was one eye who stayed dry. I don't think so. I had difficulty all night falling asleep until 5 in the morning. I just couldn't fall asleep. I'm extremely tired. It's one of these things that you're exhausted, but the mind is blowing, and you can't fall asleep from describing the horrible situation, how little children getting burned and choked. I don't know, the adrenaline in the body, I can't explain. I'm sure it happens to thousands of other people. I even know people took days off the next day from sadness. They just couldn't focus, they didn't go to work. But the tragedies are ahead of us, unfortunately. If we all do tshuva, then there's no need for them. No need for them. Any surim belo chet. No suffering comes for nothing. You found suffering, there is something that was done. Not in this life, in a previous life. Hashem does not give anything to anyone unless he deserves it. It's hard. I know some people hate to hear it, but that's the truth. Now, if you don't believe in the Torah, I'm not your address. Do whatever you want. It's your business. But if you claim that you're religious, if you dare to put a yarmulke on your head, it's a crime to question Hashem. You can question every halacha. You can question Jewish ideology. You can ask for proofs. How do we know A and B and C and D? That's what the whole Talmud is about. Our religion encourages questions and answers and debates in a peaceful, respectful way. But you can never dare to say, I disagree with what Hashem did. You can't say it. Or you can never dare to say there's no justice. Say, I don't see Hashem justice. I don't understand how it works. I wish I could understand why Hashem did it. I wish one day we'll know the reasons. But to say, I'm not sure if there is justice, or if Hashem runs the world, or things like that, that some of the people wrote in the internet, there's no bigger crime than such a kfirah. And this is people, one tragedy like this, already 90% of the faith goes down the window, out of the window. It's sad. You know why it's sad? I'll tell you why it's sad. Who is the most miserable person in the world today? The most miserable. Huh? The parents, right? We didn't see the mother, so let's focus on the father. Do you know anybody in the Jewish world today that is more miserable than this miserable father? I don't think there is. In a funeral, in a eulogy to his children, he spoke words of emunah in Hashem. the mayor of New York and the head Jewish council, whatever his name is, Heinkin, one of the big shots, he said, we came to support the father faith, and we found ourselves getting encouraged by his speech. The mayor of New York, which is a goy, to the best of my knowledge, he said to hear in a funeral of 7 of his children that got burned alive, that the father is speaking about faith in God to the listeners on the funeral, what else I can say? Something like that. That was the words of the mayor. You understand? So the mayor, that's called Kiddush Hashem. When you make millions of dollars and your life is wonderful and you say beautiful speeches to praise Hashem, big deal. No ma. Saddam Hussein also praised Hashem when he gassed the Kurdish and killed 50,000 of them. What did he say? Bismillah. When Arafat killed Jewish children, he also said Bismillah and thank you to Allah. When you're happy to praise Hashem, no, very nice of you. When it's the saddest day of your life, perhaps of all your reincarnations, not this life, all your lives, the most painful moment of your life, to be able to say the word Hashem and to speak about Emunah and we don't understand, that's a big Kiddush Hashem. The reward is endless. The reward is endless. The pain will remain. Like I said, even he knows for sure, according to the Torah, they're all in heaven. The pain is here. That we all feel this pain. If we feel so much pain, imagine the father or the mother. Imagine what's going on. But I want to tell you, it wasn't only a message for him, it was a message for each one of us, each one of us. One of the reasons, I mean, it could be many reasons. We don't know for sure why. We don't know. We're not prophets. If we had a prophet, the prophet would tell us exactly why this tragedy happened. We don't know. We can only assume based on what we read in the Torah and the holy books. We know that we have problems with modesty. We cannot pretend and we cannot lie about it. We have a massive problem with our modesty in our community by the men and the women. We have drugs issues. We have many children who are not going to yeshivot. We have tons of sinat chinam in politics. Sinat chinam, non-stop lashon hara, hurting each other. And one of the worst things that we have is no culture of speech. That's it, it's gone. In the old days, there was culture of speech. So you have an opponent, you let him talk, you answer back, you don't go into personal, you don't embarrass him, you don't write things that will destroy his life in the internet because his opinion is different than yours. What happened to the freedom of speech? There's no freedom of speech anymore. It's all one big lie. If they are with you, you compliment them. Soon as they say something you don't like to hear, you begin to attack them. I'll give you an example. Yesterday in Israel, a professor from the university, I got his email today. I couldn't believe. Looks like a woman, long curly hair. I wasn't sure if he's a man or a woman, if you know what I mean. He's a professor in Israel. Oi to the day that my children would have to go to university and this will be their professor. Better you be a total ignorant and don't know how to read and write than to sit 1 hour in a class with such a monster. So he sits on a studio in Israel. And there was one woman, Moroccan Jew, that Israeli, but her parents came from Morocco. As they're arguing, I don't know what the argument was about. I don't know. They argue about something in a television. He said to her in front of the entire nation on live television, your parents should have stayed in Morocco to rotten and die there. Why did they come here that I have to see someone like you? This is a professor in a university. And the host, he told him, you know, we here promote people's opinion. We give the stage to all different kinds of opinions. But I cannot continue the interview with you. You cross all lines. I have to kick you out of the studio, and he kicked him out of the studio. So that's very heroic act of the host, right? Very nice of him. That was the right thing to do. Okay. There's only one problem that I have with this. What this professor said on live television, he's heard thousands of times on the internet news channels by Israelis non-stop. Racism, cursing each other from where they came from, making bad jokes about them, putting them down. He hates Ashkenazim, and he hates Moroccans, and he hates Syrians, and he hates this, and he hates Yemenites, and everybody hates everyone. And on the internet, which I scream about it for years, when everyone is a coward and hide behind a fake name, people are murderers with a pen. I have a whole lecture. It's called Murderers with a Pen. And my website, you can hear it. Then I focus on this subject only. And people are hiding behind false identity, and they publish lies about people. They make up funny stories, everything they want, conspiracies, stories about their childhood, speaking about their children. What is the world has to know that he has a girl that she's a drug addict? Why? Why? It's not enough the pain that this person has that they have to now publish it in the whole world. And they put each other down and murdering each other non-stop. And when does it stop? When the children get burned alive. Isn't it sad? That's when it stopped for 5-6 hours. That, people say, okay, enough. For a few hours, everyone is in shock. It's not the time right now to write. But believe it or not, few hours later, already people had the nerve to criticize the parents of these kids. Why they moved from Israel back to America. All you needed that they will write another line, they deserve what happened. It was very close already between the lines. Do you understand what we have? We have among us ruthless murderers that in any judgment day, the Gehenom will end and their punishment will never end. And some of them have nice beards, if you understand what I mean. Do you understand what's going on here? And then people say, why all these bad things happening to us? It's very painful, the situation, very painful. You look at what's going on, you say to yourself, well, I have to marry my children. What's the point? For what? 30 years ago, I had a value marriage. What is the point? When you see what's going on in a marriage institution, when you see all this show-off and the fake and all this dancing show-off, everyone comes like he thinks he's in Hollywood, spending $200,000 on a stupid wedding, when so many children are starving to a piece of bread before they go to sleep. You see what's going on. You say, you know what? Fine. People wants to do a show-off in a happy day of their life. But then 2 months later, you hear that it's a horrible divorce, and she ran away, and he ran away, and they found out this, and he found out that. Who knows it? You don't hear about it that much. Who hears about it nonstop? Speakers, the rabbis, the people that takes care of communities. And things that you hear every day, you wonder to yourself, say to yourself, wow, will I be one of these horrible statistics soon? What's the alternative? To keep the children at home, to rotten? No, you have to get them married. You get them married, you put them in such a risk with what's happening out there. Do you know how many rapists are existing today in a community that everyone covers for it? There's not 1 week in Israel they don't catch a rapist that does horrible things to children. Not 1 week. And instead of exposing them and make a huge list that everyone knows to protect his children against them, they cover for them. I don't know, maybe you gave a nice donation. This is what's going on. And then when a horrible tragedy like this happens, everyone with this hypocrisy, we don't know why Hashem did it. If we're honest, we know very well why Hashem did it. We know. Enough with the lies. We should know very well why Hashem did it. If you don't know, take time out for whatever you do. Come inside the yeshiva for 2-3 years, sit and learn and make yourself a human being. Then you'll know why. Because if you read the Gemara If you read all the Sifrei Musar, you would know that it's a miracle that it's only these tragedies. One here and one there and another one over there. It's a miracle. Because it could have been 1,000,000 times worse. Nobody remembers that just a few months ago there was a war and the Hamas shot 5,000, 4,000 missiles on our head, and they all got them from Syria. And Syria has storages loaded with chemical missiles. Chemical, you know what it means? One rocket that falls, kill one person, break the place, ruin an apartment. Somebody got burned. Somebody, I don't know. That's what these rockets do. One dead here, one wounded over there, two wounded over there, a building collapse. That's the damages. Now one rocket, one missile, 6, 7, 8 feet long, full of chemical inside, that fall and explode, 300, 500, 700 people can choke and die. Not one. Multiply by 4,000, what would happen? Anybody would remember a tragedy of 7 children when you have 50,000 laying there on the street? Every day that passes by, the miracle that we survive is beyond words can describe. Beyond words. If we're not going to do tshuva, we're not going to run away from this threat. It's not coincidence why Hashem let these murderers around us continue to gain weapons and more, and Iran fooled the whole world, and Obama cooperate with them, and the whole world is against Israel, and now America is against Israel. Exactly like the prophets that warned us from Acharit Hayamim. It says in the prophet, Zechariah, Zachary 14, the whole world will go against Israel, with no exception to the rule. Include America, they'll lead. They lead. Today they say, we do not trust Israel. We want Palestinian state. What do you think will be the next step? Once the Palestinian state, how long we will have to survive until they'll destroy us? What do you think is going to happen? A state right inside Israel? Do you understand what's going on here? So the threat is tremendous. Only one thing can save us. I said what I have to say, that's it. If people would listen, I hope. If they won't listen, the little comfort I can have is that at least I screamed it. What do you think? Every one of a lecture like this, do you know how much people kill me after that? How much headache, how much lashon hara, how much they speak. Instead of saying, finally somebody scream what the Tanakh say, finally somebody scream what Chazal say, finally someone scream what the Arizal said, somebody explain the concept of reincarnation, somebody speaks about the threats from Ishmael, like the Tanakh, like the Torah is full of examples. Nobody, what, to compliment? So thank you for saying the truth. You hear here and there. I'm not saying no. I mean, there are righteous people out there. But the majority, don't let him speak here. Too fanatic. Why fanatic? One of the words that I say here tonight is not in the Torah. Show me one word. You know what? Better than that. Go to my website. You have more than 2,000 lectures. Show me one word I ever said that it's not in the Torah. One. Or in the Gemara, or in the Zohar, or in the Ari, or in the Rambam. Show me one word, one thing I ever said without a source. One thing you show me. Here is the deal. You come and you say, this thing, you made it up. There's no source for it in the books. I retired instantly. One, from millions of things I spoke in 20 years. Millions of words. Find one word that it was without topic. Without source, I'm sorry. Find one. That's a serious statement what I'm saying here. You'll never find. Why do I need to make up things if it's all in the Torah? I don't get it. Someone that has a fake book, he needs to invent things. But someone that it's all in his book, all he has to, it's an ocean of knowledge. There's not one subject in life that the Torah didn't discuss. Why righteous people suffer, why wicked people celebrate, free choice, Ishmael, exiles, end of days, days of Mashiach, who's going to get saved, resurrection of the dead, who will resurrect, who will not, everything the Torah discusses. Health issues, all kinds of things that happen, while children die. Do you think there's one thing in the Torah that was not discussed? When Moshe Rabbeinu saw that the Egyptian take a kid and put him inside the pyramids, whatever, in a construction site, he screamed to Hashem what all of us scream in the last 48 hours. This is what you're doing to the children? Moshe, not us. Moshe is different authority. He spoke to Hashem. It's knowledge of Hashem, not only emunah. Hashem said, oh, you're questioning my decisions? Go take that kid out. Take him out. What happened in the end? He became Micha. So much problems he caused. Hashem knows what he does. I told you, sometimes these children is to save the life of tens of thousands of others. Tens of thousands of others. I know many parents that have innocent, wonderful, righteous, religious kids. That if you come to them and say, there are about 1,000 secular Jews supposed to die. It's a decree. But there's only one way to cancel it. You donate one of your 10 children as a sacrifice instead. It will prevent the 1,000 from dying. I know many that will agree, with all the pain. They'll sit and cry all their life after that. But they will say, what choice did I have? I let 1,000 Jews die because of my kid or selfishness. And the Holocaust, Rabbi Ashri said, Rabbi Ashri Zatzal, I was his neighbor in Lower East Side for a short period of time. I had the zchut to stand next to this tzaddik that was the rabbi of the ghetto. He wrote a book about the questions that people ask him in a horrible, most horrible time in our history, perhaps. And one person came to him and said to him, my son is on a dead list. They're going to kill him today. I have some money I hidden in a forest under the ground. I can release my son by sending a German soldier to get the money as a bribe. I'll get my son out of the list. But I know he will get somebody else into the list, another Jew instead. 1 for 1, not 1 for 1,000. Am I allowed to save my son? Obviously, I don't want another Jew to die. I'm focusing on saving my son. But indirectly, I'm actually sentencing another Jew to die. The rabbi told him, please don't ask me this question. He didn't answer. He said, don't ask me this question. He said, I got my answer, Rabbi. And he let his son go and die. 1 for 1. Why? He had Yirat Shamayim. He knew we didn't come to the world here to stay here, like some of us think. We'll stay here forever. No, no, no. He knew it's all one step before the eternal world. This life is a blink of the eye. Blink of the eye. Many of us had children. Yesterday they were babies. Today they're married already. Before you realize you'll be out of here. Yes, again, don't get me wrong. But what is it 20 years more or 20 years less? In the end, if somebody died 16 or he died 70, does it make a big difference? What makes a difference where he went when he died. That's all. He went to heaven or not. That's all. If he went to heaven, no. What can I complain about? Hashem put him in heaven with all the tzaddikim. Hopefully I'll be able to join him if I'll be tzaddik. That's what a father should think. One thing I can tell you for sure, that the parents of these children go to heaven for sure. The Gemara says. The Gemara says, someone that buried his sons in his lifetime, and he had 4 sons over there and 3 daughters, 7. Someone that buried his children does not see Gehenom, gets saved automatically from hell. So he will join them, eventually. He will join them. And then they'll be very happy. And then the 20 or 30 years of suffering eventually will look back like a blink of the eye. But after that, it will be long time of eternity, full of pleasure. The question is, where are we going to be? The children are already in heaven. The parents are guaranteed to go to heaven as well. What about us? We're far away from having any guarantee. Far away. Unless if we'll do tshuva. Understand? If we do tshuva, and we affect other Jews to do tshuva, and we begin to care about others also. Don't forget, sponsor CDs, order CDs, get them to your home, give them to people. Here, Torah and Science. Here, Shabbat. Here, Modesty. Here, Taharat Mishpacha. Here, intermarriage. It's an epidemic, intermarriage. Almost every Jew married to Goyim now. The Jewish nation is a massive danger. Why there's no demonstrations of the streets of all the rabbis screaming what's going on? Why there's no demonstrations on the secular schools that promote this? Why nobody scream against the reform movements who are destroying us from inside? Nobody makes anything. Nobody. Well, we want this community. Do you think Hashem cares about this community? He cares about the whole Jewish nation, not about one room or the other. What do you think? I have my 50 people over here. What about the rest? Who's going to do the job? If everyone will worry about his own family and community. We have an obligation. It's not a joke. It's an obligation in the Torah. It's not a good act or good deed or act of volunteering. No. It's an obligation. Obligation. You know what it means, obligation? The same thing we have to keep Shabbat. Same thing we have to eat kasher. We have to put tefillin. We have an obligation to save neshamot, souls. Instead of buying another leather jacket and another pair of boots and every year another new car and another 5 watches in a safe and all these perfumes and nonsense and flowers, maybe we'll save each one of us another 10 Jews. That's it. Mashiach would come tomorrow. If every Jew will affect 10 other Jews, that's it. We save everyone. We're not such a huge nation. 2 million of our Shomer Shabbat, 11 millions are not. 2 millions in 11 millions is 5.5 secular per 1 religious. It's stupid statistic. It should have happened already. But there's 200 people in the world that does the job. Try to do it for all the other 2 million. Of course they cannot approach everyone. They can't. But there's a lot of other people who can volunteer. You cannot speak. Open your wallet before the IRS will reach your money in Switzerland and take it anyway. Or then you leave the world and who knows what some of the children will do with that. There's now one thing I did not see. 20 years in what I do, in my work, it's like living 200 years. Experience-wise, person in a lifetime does not see in 200 years what I've seen dealing with the public in 20 years. 200 years of experience is good enough for you? Tens of thousands of people, thousands of emails every month, multiply by 20 years. So many people, so many things, trips, meeting communities. A little experience I have, no. I'm telling you, this is an obligation. We have to invest in it. Don't let it come from this year and go out right away after this year. And say, let me first make myself religious, then I worry about the world. Right, it's true. Make yourself also religious. It's more important than make others, I agree. If you don't take care of your own neshama, what's the point? But what do you think? It's not possible that you make yourself religious and 3 or 4 others? What do you think? If you make one person religious, one, putting some efforts in him, time in him, money in him, whatever you have to do to make him religious, to bring him to the right speaker, to give him the right CDs, to invite him for Shabbat, you make him your target. I don't leave this guy or this girl until I make them Shomer Shabbat. That's my target for life. The Zohar says it's worth to run 7 years after a person. 7 years to give him money and gifts and attention and kill yourself. If you became religious, you set for eternity. One. So if each one of the 2 million will make only one, it will be 4 million next month. Now the 4 million, each one will make one, it will be 8 million the next month. And that's it, 2.5 months and we're done. Now you may come and say, but there are some people who will never be religious. You're right. Some people, they'll see Hashem talking to them and they still don't want. That's not our problem anymore. We achieved the maximum ability. The rest is not in our hand. Hashem doesn't punish us for something it's not in our hands.
So to try, right? But
We try as much as we can. He doesn't want it. It's his problem, not ours. This is the right thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you this from the bottom of my heart.
Is it better to strengthen someone's religion that's so-so, or someone who's completely off the derech to bring in? What should we?
Both equal. So also needs improvement. Someone who's 50% religious is still not there. You need to put efforts on making him 100%.
So either one is fine.
Either one is good. Yes, because you know how it is in life. If you need 100 on a test, in Israel, you know, in Israel the system is you need 55 to pass. In other words, not to fail. It's a very bad mark, 56. But at least you didn't fail. So if a person has 50% in his hand, he's failing. It's a lot, 50%. 50 out of 100 in religion, 50%, it's a lot, but it could still be failing. We don't know. You have to understand, there is a red line, a general red line, but there is also an individual red line for each individual. Not everyone is the same red line. Parents that grew up in Russia, in communists, full of tattoos, gold teeth for the time of before Gorbachev, they have no idea from Judaism, and they agree to keep Shabbat in kosher and put tefillin and pray home 10 minutes a day. It's a very big achievement for them. Not for you and me. For you and me, it's not a big achievement. But for them it is, because Hashem knows where they're coming from. He knows the mentality, he knows the brainwash that they had through the communist days of Russia. He knows where they come from, these people. But someone who comes from Bnei Brak, from a family of religious, holy rabbis, non-stop Torah, 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 and he keeps 60%, it's not enough. For this communist Jew, it's very good. Very good. Some of them didn't even have Brit Milah. What do you think? It's a joke? They didn't have Brit, they couldn't do it. It was against the law to do. Or they didn't know that it's something that it's mandatory. That's how far they used to be. So the idea is that every Jew has a different red line. There are general red lines, like Shabbat. Every Jew must keep Shabbat. There's no discounts about Shabbat. It's the eternal covenant. You don't keep Shabbat, you consider a goy according to the halacha and with no exception to the rule. Unless if you have no idea what Shabbat is. But how many Jews like this you have in the world? Do you know a Jew in the world that doesn't know Shabbat is a special day? Nothing. Excuse me, did you hear Shabbat, Sabbath, the Jewish Sabbath? Never heard of it. You Jew? Yes. You never heard that Shabbat is a special holiday? No. Okay, if it's true, that's a different story. That's an exception to the rule. But how many like this you have? Most people know Shabbat is a special day. They see religious people. The internet is full of it. CDs everywhere. You know, I mean, they hear about it a lot in their lifetime. Why are you not coming to check? Yeah.
a person, he's keeping Shabbat in his own sense. He thinks he's keeping Shabbat because he's brainwashed from the beginning. He was brainwashed that he's keeping Shabbat. He goes to shul even though his parents drive him to shul. He doesn't understand. Is he considered Tiyam Shalish or not?
Depend what education he got. If they raised him that you're allowed to drive on Shabbat and he believes that that's allowed, it's a problem. We have to open up his eyes. He has a serious problem. It's not Shomer Shabbat. So I started to say there are general lines. Shabbat is one of them. Kosher food. This is the foundation. Shabbat, kosher food, modesty, nida, taharat mishpacha, learning Torah every day. This is the foundation. If you don't have one of those that I just mentioned, you have a very big hole in your bucket. Other things could be small holes. So the water are dripping here, the water dripping there. It's dripping. But if you have such a massive hole, everything falls right away. Because if you're not Shomer Shabbat, where are you going to put the rest? Your wagon doesn't have wheels. It's the foundation. You understand? Or kosher food. How are you going to be religious if you eat shratzim and taref? Your blood is impure. You never connect. Your neshama cannot connect with words of Torah. Why do you think that some people, they hear 2 minutes words of Torah and they shut it? How can it be? Is there anything more interesting than good words of Torah if you hear it from the right speaker? How can they shut? How this person is like this? We can move from it for hours, and this one after 2 minutes shuts it and goes to his nonsense. He eats kosher and he doesn't. It makes a big impact. What do you think? The system of this guy doesn't work properly. Putting the wrong gas in a car will not make the car drive, or it won't drive smooth. Some things is the foundation. You understand? You have children, sending them not to yeshiva, it's murder. It's murdering their souls. Gadol ha'machti'o yoter min ha'orgo. The Gemara says, if you make someone commit sins, it's worse than actually physically killing him. Everybody appreciates life in this world, life of 60, 70, 80 years. But when it comes to life of eternity, everyone acts like a fool. When he murdered you for 60 years or took 20 years of your life, you scream. He's a monster, he's a murderer. But when he took away billions of years of life, when he destroyed your soul, nobody makes a peep. What's going on here? So the Gemara says, Gadol ha'machti'o yoter min ha'orgo. Do you know that? Do you know that when there is a time of shmad, the Goyim came to town and they want to make all of us forget Judaism. No more learning Torah, no more tefillah, no more nothing. Technically, we only had to die for 3 sins. We should not kill anybody else. If they tell us, kill him or I kill you, I have to die. If he tells you, go with a married woman or not, we kill you, you can't go. You have to die. If he tells you, bow down to my idol, if not, we'll kill you, you have to die. But anything else, you're not allowed to die. But in a time of shmad, when it becomes a massive attack against the religion of Hashem, you have to die for everything. Everything. Yet you eat from this pork. No. You kill us. Why? What's the point of dying? What Hashem is interested that 10,000 of us would die for that? The answer is, if we will do what they say, in 1 generation Judaism will be over. That's it. There's no purpose to the world. The world will be coming to an end. So we have to give our life to save the religion. If it's only this or that, the religion, the general religion is standing. They make decree here, decree there. We'll pass that generation and we'll renew everything. But if it's massive attack against everything, so when they see that all of us dying for it, they'll think twice. So you know what? They're not giving up. They're all dying. So after they kill 500, I say, stop with that. There's no point. Well, we have to kill all of them. They're not giving up. So, but the problem is, if some of us will be coward and we won't give our life for the Torah, then nothing will be left. Nothing will be left. Because they kill some, the rest will become goyim, finished. 2 generations later, nobody would even remember there used to be a book of God. It's dismissed from the world. That's why in a time of shmad, even for any kind of sin, that technically you're not allowed to commit that sin and die for it. If a person comes and tells you, make that sin, if not, I kill you, and you refuse to do it, and he kills you, Hashem will punish you for dying. You gave your life not to eat pork, and Hashem will punish you for that. Why? Who told you that you're allowed to die for this? Why say that it's pikuach nefesh? You have to violate the rule to save your life, except 3 mitzvot. But pork, it's not one of them. Why did you kill? Why you allow yourself to get killed? But in a time of shmad, the other way around. Everybody has to give their life. Shmad ruchani, shmad, they're coming to destroy the religion of Hashem. The whole world is existing thanks to the Torah of Hashem. If it's a massive amount of shmad, that means Hashem is giving us a very hard test. Very hard test. You want express ticket to heaven? Jump into the fire. Avraham Avinu jumped to the fire against Nimrod. Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah, same thing. Paphos and what's the other one? Paphos and two tzaddikim, same thing. There's examples in the Talmud of the tzaddikim that they told them, go against Hashem. They said, no, they jumped to the fire. No problem, we'll get burned. Avraham is one of them, I say. Baruch Hashem, we don't have such nisyonot. Baruch Hashem. Imagine we live 500 years ago now, Spain and Portugal. You know what Jews had to go through to be able to keep mitzvot? We take it for granted. That's the problem. We have it too easy. Too easy. Everyone comes to his $20 million or $30 million shul, beautiful, nice, everything nice and clean. Complaints we always will find. If we only knew what it means to be a Jew 500 years ago in the Inquisition, if they catch you doing one Jewish thing, they take you to the basements of the churches. What horrible suffering. Look at the picture, what they used to do to people. Hang them like this for a week until their shoulders come out, hanging them upside down that their head explodes from the blood, tying their hands and their legs and turning the wheels until the stomach ripped in the middle, opening the stomach of a pregnant woman and take the baby out and choke him. That's what they used to do. And people gave their life. They didn't give up for the truth. And we, that has it too easy. The air conditioning is not strong enough, Rabbi. How come? Saving? Why it's freezing here, Rabbi? How much is the heating on? It's on 70. Why don't you put 75? It's too cold here. Wow. Too cold here. Why there's no lox for breakfast? Every day cream cheese and eggs? Why there's no bagels? It's not real bagels, Rabbi. You understand? He wants to go to sit next to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and Rabbi Akiva with bagels and lax. Ay, 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 ay. Baruch Adonai L'olam, Amen v'Amen.